Welcome to the Exit Coach Radio Show, the show for baby boomer business owners who are looking for cutting-edge information as they plan their 3 to 10-year business succession and exit. Every week, we interview top professional advisors for their best tips, strategies, and precautions, so you can be well-planned. And don't miss our 1-minute Exit Coach tip of the day on exitcoachradio.com. And now, here's your host, the Exit Coach, Bill Black.
This segment of the show is brought to you by Olive Crest and features Mahyar Ghassemian, who is on the phone with us. Mahyar, are you there?
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm great. How about you?
Very good, thank you. We're going to talk about how our listeners can protect their business in today's economy. But before we get into that, we always like to start by getting to know a little bit about our guests. Can you share a little bit about your background and how you got into this particular line of work?
Absolutely. I have been practicing since 1999 as an attorney. In my prior life, I have a master's degree in physics, and I taught at Cal State Long Beach. Then I was in different businesses and decided to go to law school, graduated, top 10% of my class, and externed for Court of Appeal, and then started working in as an attorney in different firms. Mm-hmm. So basically, I've been doing a lot of construction and business law, helping small companies and various construction companies.
Yeah, I gathered that from your lawsuit. From your website, excuse me. That seems to be a specialty area for you, business owners of all types, but especially in the construction area. And what types of things do you do for your clients?
Okay. Well, we focus on small to medium-sized businesses and a lot of construction companies as well to try to help them stay out of legal trouble. This would be through proper planning. We look at their overall structure of their company. We look at the various contracts they use and help them avoid legal trouble. And then for those who come to us and they're in a lawsuit, I have over 14 years of experience as a litigator. We help defend them properly through cost-effective means and get them the best result possible.
So first is don't get into trouble, and you help them with that. And secondly, if you do get into trouble, we're here for you as well, despite all of the planning and everything that you've done. How do you protect your business from a lawsuit?
There are several mechanisms of protection that have to be in place. You want to always make sure you have the right insurance to protect you. So for a business, a type of commercial general liability policy works really well. And there's other types of insurance as well that they can talk to their insurance brokers. Aside from that, you want to make sure that your business has the proper entity. So either a corporation, an LLC, sole proprietorship, partnership, whatever it is, we first make sure that tax-wise they need to be in that entity, and we send them to a CPA to work with them on that. And then we look at their whole liability picture to see if this particular business is exposed, and if they are, then how can we protect them by, say, creating an entity for them that through which they will transact their business.
And in some cases, it might even be multiple entities, correct?
That is true. In some cases, it makes sense to have multiple entities. I have an example of that, and if you want to, I can talk about it now or later on.
We'll talk about examples in just a couple minutes. We have a couple more questions to get through, and one of them was, what's the number one mistake that business owners make when starting a business?
Okay, well, business owners usually put their life savings, entrepreneurs, into their businesses. And then on top of that, they put their time hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of time every year into their business. And what they forget to do is talk to an expert that can help them structure it properly and then run it properly, and then spend a little bit of money up front to save themselves hundreds of thousands of dollars later on. For instance, a business that uses a lot of contracts, they need to have the proper format and the proper language in their contract to protect themselves as well as their clients. So skimping on these necessary steps and then keeping them up through time as a business gets bigger and grows, failing to look at their legal picture would get them more into trouble.
So it's one thing when you're a small company and you've got a couple of maybe major assets or categories to protect, but then as you grow, it's important to keep taking a look at that because you might need even more structures and more protection.
That's true. That is true. They a lot of different types of structuring mechanisms are available that someone who is an expert can put all of these together and make sure that a full picture of protection is in place in terms of all the structuring, all the contracts needed, any type of partnership agreements needed, and keeping up with the legalities. You can't just set up a corporation and forget about it for years.
Right.
So do the formalities, right.
Mahyar, how often do you think, or would you counsel someone to get in touch? Is it just any time they're in an expansion mode and maybe before they buy some new assets or add on, or is it a periodic kind of a thing?
You know, obviously those are very important and good times to do that. However, I think having a good relationship with an attorney, a CPA, an insurance broker, these types of people that you can rely upon is extremely important in continuing that relationship. What we do with my office is that once someone retains us, they become our client, and we put it in our calendaring system to contact them every few months to see how things are going, and then there are specific dates that we put on our calendar for them to file with the state in terms of their formalities. So I would say if you have a growing business, any type of event that makes a sudden growth is a good point to start thinking about talking to an expert. But also, as time progresses, you know, it's kind of like going to the dentist. It's always better to go to get the checkups than to go and end up having a root canal.
Great advice. We're talking with Mahyar Ghassemian of Ghassemian Associates, and we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to ask her to share a few stories, some tips, ideas, and precautions that you can use, and we'll be right back. At Ghassemian Law Group, we focus on construction and business issues, helping clients prevent lawsuits, as well as providing competent, tough representation when they get sued. Our construction services consist of contracts, course of construction advice, mechanics liens, stop notices, insurance disputes, and contractors law. Our business services include business structuring and formation, partnership, and contracts. We worry about your business so you don't have to. For more information, contact Mahyar Ghassemian at 949-436-2785. That's 949-436-2785.
If you came back from lunch today and there was a resignation letter on your desk, which employee would you really not want it to be from? More importantly, what are you doing to prevent this situation from happening in the first place? We work with business owners like you every day to design plans that attract, motivate, retain, and reward key employees. Don't wait until it's too late. Contact Bill Black, the Exit Coach, at 866-370-3774 for a free consultation on how to retain and reward your key employees. That's 866-370-3774. Call today.
Welcome back, friends. Just a quick reminder that we've interviewed dozens of advisors on a wide variety of topics, and you will find all of their interviews and highlights online at exitcoachradio.com or on iTunes at itunes.exitcoachradio.com. So now we're back with Mahyar Ghassemian. And Mahyar, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
We talked before the break about some of the mistakes that business owners make when they're starting a business. What about more established businesses? What are some of the mistakes that they make?
I think one of the important mistakes is not having a corporation or LLC or another form of entity that would limit their liability in case they get sued. I have seen a lot of companies that do this, and it's very prevalent in the construction industry. If they're around for a while and they don't have an entity, they are going to be sued sometimes, especially in construction. And what happens is then they put their own personal properties in danger because they don't have an entity that would protect them.
Do you think that's because when you're a small business, you're trying to get every penny you can back into developing new business, and people look at visiting with an attorney maybe as an expense that might be, put off for a little while? Is that the main reason, do you think?
I believe so. I agree with you. Some of my larger clients have a policy that they set a set amount every month aside for legal expenses because they understand that they need the advice of an attorney. What becomes really hard for people to see is the fact that once they get into a lawsuit, then they're going to have to be in it for 1.5 to 2 years, and everything, all of their life's belongings can be put in jeopardy if they haven't spent a little bit of money up front to protect it before it gets into a lawsuit, because lawsuits are very, very expensive.
Well, that's not a bad idea to build into your budget some type of a monthly fund or expense to work with attorneys so that you have a good offense. You've taken care of things before they become a problem, and you have a really expensive defense. What happens if you do get sued? What do you do?
I think people should consult an attorney immediately. Most of us attorneys have a good network of other attorneys that are outside our specialty that we can refer them to someone else. But consult with an attorney immediately. Sometimes just being able to get the lawsuit to the right insurance company on time or respond to it on time and doing everything that needs to be done in an expeditious manner would save people thousands of dollars.
That makes a lot of sense. So could you share with us a couple client stories, people that you've worked with, and what was their situation before you came on board, and how did you help them?
Sure. As I mentioned before, one of my, a big area of a specialty for me is construction law, and that's because I have technical expertise that together with my business expertise makes it very much conducive to a construction law atmosphere. I have a client that has about 350 employees, one of my larger clients, and they came to me, they import, manufacture, and install construction components. And when they came to me, they had about 10 different entities already in place, but there was no cohesive overall picture. So what I did for them was to review the various entities to make sure all of them were working properly together, so there's no spillage of liability in case of a lawsuit. For instance, they have an entity that does all the transportation for these construction components, and then there's another entity that does the installation. So if somebody sues the company that does the transportation, we want to make sure they can't also access the assets of the company that does the installation. So that's one thing that I did for them. I reviewed their contracts that they do with various builders or with their vendors to make sure they are protected, as well as, their clients. And also, I deal with some of their mechanics liens issues, because in construction, if a company provides materials or supplies any type of labor to a construction lawsuit, they can lien that property if they don't get paid. The result is that now we have a cohesive picture in place, and we will not have any of these other entities in jeopardy if one entity gets sued. That's one company that I just recently did a lot of work for, and they're my clients that use me on a regular basis.
That's so important. That's great ideas and great work to be able to isolate your liabilities to one segment of your company so that the whole company doesn't go down.
That's true.
So,
and
yes, go ahead.
You said a couple examples.
Yes, please give us another one.
Okay, I'm going to give you an example of a very small case. I do work mostly with small to medium-sized companies between 15 employees to 100, some of them larger, as we talked about, the 350 employees. But sometimes I get homeowners that come to me, and this is the feel-good work that I do, it just makes you smile every day. I had a disabled veteran who had been shot on the line of duty, and he came to me because he had taken the settlement he had received for his disability, bought a home, hired a contractor to do some remodeling for him, and the contractor was not doing a good job. All of the work was subpar, as well as they were demanding more money, and there was not enough work to even justify the amount of money they had already received. So the veteran came to me, and all he wanted was to get out of the contract and walk away from it. And what I did was, through negotiation, putting a proper demand package together, and having them finally all sit down in one room to talk and negotiating with all of them, not only I was able to get them out of the contract, but I was also able to get him about a third of his money back, which was a great thing for him. He gave me the biggest hug at the end, and that put a smile on my face.
Oh, that's great. That is great work, and it does give you a warm feeling at the end of the day to know that you've helped somebody in a difficult situation like that. Mahyar, could you just give us, we have about 1 minute left, could you just give us a quick 1 or 2 tips for our listeners?
Absolutely. 2 important tips. For general businesses, LLC laws have changed as of January 2014. So if you have an LLC or a client that has an LLC, have them talk to an attorney. Construction clients, construction laws went through an overhaul back in July of 2012. And so a lot of the contracts, and especially for companies that deal with home improvement projects, and home improvement is not just a little remodeling, anything from bringing a home or a big project down to studs and rebuilding. They have to have special contracts, and they have to have special provisions for mechanics liens and other things. So it would be really good for them to talk to their attorneys. Great information. And how do people best get in touch with you? They can get in touch with me through my website. My phone number is area code 949-436-2785. My website is Mahyar Law, Mahyar Law.com, or occonstructionattorney.com. Well, it's been a very fascinating interview, and I've learned a lot, and I'm sure our listeners have as well. I really appreciate the information and ideas, and thank you for coming on to the show. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on the show, and it was absolutely my pleasure. Thank you. I've been talking with Mahyar Ghassemian of Ghassemian & Associates, and we're going to take a short break, so please stay tuned.
At ExitCoachRadio.com, we're interviewing over 100 top advisors to get you 1-minute tips, ideas, and precautions so you can be well planned. We upload new content daily at 6 a.m. and 1 p.m. ExitCoachRadio.com. Come listen for a minute. Thank you for listening to Exit Coach Radio.